Tahukah Anda, hingga saat ini,
mana lagi yang perlu di ini?
Kayaknya di awal nih kayaknya. Kalau bahasa Indonesia kita kali yang kayak sip dan karena pasti yang kalau jadi saya masuk Anda kasihan kirimkan lalu Ki. Bacaan doa laporan ketua ikatan ulang kami bikin duit apa itu publik katanya kayaknya itu dari bapak jadi dari kami bisa tahan laparku karena kita daerah mau makan juga yang di puasa. Kami minum duluan. Minum dulu yang manis-manis.
Bapak siapa?
Enggak di announce, tetap kita ikuti, enggak kita ini ya jadi
Oh, Bapak ikut sama parade?
kayak seperti yang
Dari
di
malam?
malam. Kasih duduk dulu kok dong kak.
Siapa mau dulu?
Bukan kita, ini tamu.
Bapak Ibu hadirin yang kami hormati, sesaat lagi rangkaian acara Fourth Asean Architect Congress akan segera dimulai dan mohon kesediaan Bapak Ibu untuk menempati tempat duduk yang telah disediakan dalam waktu kurang lebih 10 menit ke depan. Kita bersama-sama akan mengikuti rangkaian acara Fourth Asean Architect Congress Embracing the Future, Mobility and Collaboration Part 4. Bapak Ibu hadirin yang kami hormati, marilah bersama-sama kita menyaksikan parade bendera ASEAN.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the ASEAN Flag Parade.
Hadirin sekalian, mari kita sambut seluruh tamu kehormatan kita di Fourth Asean Architect Congress.
Ladies and gentlemen, please give your warmest applause and welcome for all our honorable guests and delegation at the Fourth ASEAN Architect Congress. Kami persilahkan kepada rekan-rekan media untuk dapat melakukan pengambilan gambar maksimal 2 menit. Terima kasih.
Baik, kami persilakan kepada rekan-rekan media untuk kembali ke tempat yang telah disediakan. Waktu untuk pengambilan gambar telah selesai. Kami persilakan kepada rekan-rekan media untuk kembali ke tempatnya. Asean.
Malaysia.
Singapore.
Thailand.
Filipina.
Brunei Darussalam.
Vietnam.
Lao People Democratic Republic.
Myanmar.
Cambodia.
Indonesia. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat pagi, salam sejahtera untuk kita semua. Salam Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya, dan salam kebajikan.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, honorable guests and delegation from all over ASEAN.
Bapak Ibu hadirin yang kami hormati, kami banggakan. Sebelumnya, izinkan kami menyapa seluruh tamu undangan yang hadir hari ini, yang telah hadir di tengah-tengah kita, yang terhormat Menteri Pekerjaan Umum dan Perumahan Rakyat PUPR, Bapak Dr. Insinyur M. Basuki Hadi Mulyono, MSc.
Yang terhormat Menteri Perdagangan, Dr. Honoris Causa Haji Zulkifli Hasan, SEMM.
Dan yang kami hormati, Gubernur Sulawesi Selatan. Dalam hal ini diwakili oleh PJ Sekretaris Daerah Provinsi Sulawesi Selatan, Bapak Insinyur Andi Darmawan Bintang, MDF PLG.
Yang kami hormati Wali Kota Makassar, Bapak Insinyur Haji Muhammad Ramdan Pomanto.
Selamat pagi, Pak Wali Kota. And the Honorable Chairman, Asean Architect Council, Architect Larry Anglai Hok AA. Welcome to Makassar.
Yang kami hormati Ketua Ikatan Arsitek Indonesia, Bapak Arsitek Georgius Budi Yulianto, IAI AA.
Dan yang kami hormati Pangdam 14 Hasanuddin, Bapak Maijen TNI Dr. Toto Imam Santoso, SIP Esos MTR Han.
Yang kami hormati Forkopimda Provinsi Sulawesi Selatan.
Dan yang kami hormati Forkopimda Kota Makassar.
And also we would like to welcome all delegation from all over ASEAN. We would like to welcome you.
Selamat datang di acara
Fourth ASEAN Architect Congress, Embracing the Future, Mobility and Collaboration Part 4. Please give your warmest applause.
Luar biasa Bapak Ibu para tamu undangan yang kami hormati, kami banggakan. Salam hangat kepada seluruh arsitek, tamu terhormat dari seluruh wilayah ASEAN. Di tanah Makassar, kota makan enak.
Once again, good morning and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, honorable guests and delegation. We would like to welcome you to our beloved city that is rich in culture, heritage, and of course culinary, Makassar City, kota makan enak.
Bapak Ibu yang kami hormati, kami banggakan, tentunya izinkan kami untuk memperkenalkan diri. Saya sangat bangga dan sangat bersyukur bisa menjadi bagian dari event yang begitu luar biasa. Perkenalkan, nama saya adalah Viko Andriansyah dan rekan saya
Cica Syakur. First of all, we would like to introduce ourselves. My name is Cica Syakur and this is my partner Viko Andriansyah. And it is our honor for the both of us to be assigned to be your host for this delightful event.
Hadirin, Kongres bergengsi ini menjadi platform bagi para arsitek untuk berbagi gagasan inovatif, bertukar pengetahuan, dan bersama-sama berkontribusi pada kemajuan arsitek di wilayah kita. Dalam perjalanan ini, kami yakin bahwa kongres ini akan memfasilitasi diskusi bermakna, mendorong praktik berkelanjutan, dan membuka jalan bagi masa depan yang lebih cerah dalam bidang arsitektur.
Ladies and gentlemen, this prestigious Congress is expected to be a platform for the ASEAN architects to gather and also interact together and explore the possibility of collaborating, including discussing any problems that may occur in each country for cross-border architectural practice and of course the way to solve them. Bapak Ibu sekalian, tentunya dengan beragam latar belakang dan juga keahlian yang diwakili di sini, kita bisa memiliki kesempatan untuk saling belajar, untuk mendapatkan perspektif baru, dan juga saling menginspirasi untuk mendorong batasan keunggulan arsitektur.
With the diverse backgrounds and expertise represented here, we have the opportunity to learn from each others, gain new perspective, and inspire each other to push boundaries for architectural excellence.
Ladies and gentlemen, let us start the function by singing the national anthem followed by the Asean anthem.
Bapak Ibu hadirin sekalian, kita bersama-sama untuk membangkitkan rasa kecintaan kita kepada negeri kita tercinta. Marilah kita bersama-sama menyanyikan lagu kebangsaan Indonesia Raya. Hadirin dimohon berdiri.
Audience, ladies and gentlemen, please rise.
Menyanyikan lagu ASEAN.
Singing the ASEAN anthem.
Hadirin dipersilakan duduk kembali. Baik, Bapak Ibu hadirin masih dalam rangkaian acara 4th Asean Architect Congress dengan tema Embracing the Future, Mobility and Collaboration Part 4. Selanjutnya, Bapak Ibu hadirin sekalian, kita bersama-sama mendengarkan pembacaan doa yang akan dibacakan oleh Bapak Sukandi Iskandar, SPD. Kepada Bapak, disilahkan.
ladies and gentlemen, and the honorable, let us pray in the name of God, the most compassionate and the most merciful. We pray for peace, not war, love, not hate, benevolence, not greed, unity, not division. Ya Allah, Ya Rahman, Ya Rahim, Ya Malik, Ya Quddus, Ya Salam, Ya Mu'min, Ya Khaliq, Ya Bari, Ya Musawwir, Ya Dhul Jalali wal Ikram. Allahumma aqsim lana min khashyatika ma tahulu bihi bainana wa baina ma'siyatik, wa min ta'atika ma tuballighuna bihi jannatak, wa min al-yaqini ma tuhawwinu bihi alaina masa'ib ad-dunya. Allahumma matti'na bi asma'ina wa absarina wa quwwatina ma ahyaytana waj'alhu warithan minna waj'al tha'rana ala man zalamana wansurna ala man adana wala taj'al musibatana fi dinina wala taj'alid dunya akbar hammina wala mablagha ilmina wala tusallit alaina man la yarhamuna. O Allah, apportion to us such fear as should serve as a barrier between us and act of disobedience, and such obedience as will take us to your Jannah, and believing will make easy for us to bear in the calamities of this world. O Allah, let us enjoy our hearing, our sight, and our power as long as you keep us alive and make it continuous until the end of our lives, and make our revenge restrict to those who oppress us and support us against those who are hostile to us, and let no misfortune afflict to our deen, and let no worldly affairs be our principal concern or the ultimate limit of our knowledge, and let not those rule over us who do not show mercy to us. O Allah, give our gathering as architect guidance to pure our hearts in good intention, like Prophet Nuh alayhi salam built his ark, the pure intention to save humankind from the destroyed. O Allah, give our gathering as architect ability and manner like Abi, like Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the best mu'min like Abi, just get resource from the best resource, produce with the best product, when take something, not break it or ruin it. We ask you Allah, make our conference, blessing conference and successful until the end. We ask you Allah to give us guidance to build better future for our generation. We ask you Allah, give our gathering to inspire the world and civilization to be better. Rabbana la tuzigh qulubana ba'da idh hadaytana wa hab lana min ladunka rahmah innaka antal wahhab. Our Lord, let not our hearts deviate after you have guided us and grant us from your mercy. Indeed, you are the bestower. Rabbana atina fid dunya hasanah wa fil akhirati hasanah wa qina adzaban nar. Our Lord, give us in this world good and the hereafter good, and protect us from the punishment of hellfire. Amin ya rabbal alamin. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you to Bapak Sukandi Iskandar SPD for leading our prayer this morning, for asking the blessing of God Almighty. Ladies and gentlemen, let us move forward to our next agenda, which is the report by the Chairman of Ikatan Arsitek Indonesia.
Bapak Ibu hadirin sekalian, selanjutnya bersama-sama akan mendengarkan laporan Ketua Ikatan Arsitek Indonesia. Untuk itu hadirin sekalian, kami bersama-sama akan mengundang kepada yang kami hormati Ketua Ikatan Arsitek Indonesia, Bapak AR Georgius Budi Lianto, IAIAA.
Distinguished Minister of Trade, Pak Zulkifli, terima kasih untuk hadir Pak. Distinguished Minister of Public Works, Distinguished Director General, Distinguished South Sulawesi Military Commander, Distinguished Major of Makassar, Pak Dani Pemanto, Honorable Asean Architect Chairman, Pak Leri, Honorable Past President IAI, Pak Ketut Rane, also Chair of IAMC, Honorable Indonesian Board of Architect, Pak Yuda dan teman-teman dari DAI, Honorable IAI Provincial Chairman, para ketua IAI Provinsi yang hadir hari ini, Honorable all delegates, ASEAN Architect members, all delegates, fellow architect, ladies and gentlemen, good morning, selamat pagi, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. On behalf of the organizing committee, the Indonesian Institute of Architects, we would like to express our sincerest gratitude for the presence of distinguished Minister of Trade and Minister of Public Works, who have graced us with their attendance at the Asean Architect Congress. Your presence here today not only signifies the importance and significance of this event, but also reaffirm the commitment of our government to architectural and architect practice the development of our built environment. Also, our sincere appreciation goes to the esteemed Major of Makassar, Pak Dani Pemanto. We know he also an architect. And all the team, please applause. And the team that prepared this Asean Architect Congress happen. Your dedication, preparation, and hard work in ensuring the success of this event deserve our most recognition and gratitude. Ladies and gentlemen, I stand before you today with mixed emotion as we gather for long-awaited 4th ASEAN Architect Congress. This event, which was originally planned for 2020, had been postponed due to the unforeseen challenge brought upon us by COVID-19 pandemic. However, despite the setbacks, we are grateful that we have finally come together to share our passion for architecture and discuss the important matter of cross-border practice. The theme of this 4th ASEAN Architect Congress, Embracing the Future, Mobility and Collaboration, will guide us through days of an engaging discussion, insightful presentation, and faithful exchange. In closing, I wish you all truly enriching the transformative ASEAN Architect Congress. May this Congress serve as a platform for inspiration, collaboration, and innovation, leading us to formulate the cross-border practice towards a future where the sustainable architecture is the norm and where our built environment reflects the aspiration and needs of all. Thank you. Let's the ASEAN Architect Congress begin. Terima kasih untuk kehadirannya teman-teman semua dari seluruh Indonesia dan semua delegasi. Semoga kita bisa segera mensukseskan kegiatan Asean Architect Congress ini. Terima kasih. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much to Bapak Arsitek Georgius Budi Yulianto IAIAA, the head of Ikatan Arsitek Indonesia, for the delightful speech. Ladies and gentlemen, our next agenda at the 4th ASEAN Architect Congress, Embracing the Future, Mobility and Collaboration Part 4, is the welcoming speech by the Mayor of Makassar.
Hadirin sekalian, selanjutnya bersama-sama akan mendengarkan sambutan Wali Kota Makassar kepada yang kami hormati Bapak Insinyur Haji Muhammad Ramdan Pomanto. Disilakan.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Biasanya arsitek itu semangat. Kita ulang. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat pagi, salam sejahtera bagi kita semua. Shalom, Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya, salam kebajikan. Good morning everyone. Yang kita hormati, my special greeting to Honorable Bapak Menteri Perdagangan Republik Indonesia, Bapak Dr. Zulkifli Hasan SE MM. Tepuk tangan untuk beliau, sudah memberi support kepada seluruh arsitek se-ASEAN. Ini penghormatan bagi kami sebagai tuan rumah dan tentunya penghormatan bagi kami sebagai arsitek. Yang kita hormati, sementara dalam perjalanan, Bapak Menteri PUPera, Bapak Dr. Insinyur Muhammad Basuki Hadi Mulyono MSc. Yang kita hormati, yang mewakili Bapak Gubernur, Pak Sekda Provinsi, Pak Darmawan. Yang kami hormati, Ketua Asean Architect, Bapak Mr. Larry Eng, welcome to Makassar. Now we have a direct flight from to flight Singapore Makassar every day. Yang kami hormati seluruh jajaran Forkompinda Provinsi Sulawesi Selatan yang sempat hadir. Terima kasih, Bapak-bapak selalu memberi support kepada pemerintah kota. Yang kami hormati jajaran Forkompinda Kota Makassar yang selalu kompak. Di sini ada Pak Kapolrestabes, Pak Dandim, Pak Dansatrol, ada Danyon Brimob, ada Pak Kapolres Pelabuhan, ada Pak Kasih Kajari juga hadir bersama kita. Selamat datang Pak Menteri PU sudah bergabung dengan kita. Tepuk tangan untuk Pak Menteri. Dua menteri hari ini mengawal kita semua, luar biasa. Honorable all delegation Asean Architect Congress from Singapore, Malaysia, Laos, Philippines, Cambodia, Brunei Darussalam, dan Indonesia. Yang saya hormati tentunya sahabat saya, Ketua Ikatan Arsitek Indonesia, saya panggil nama kecilnya saja Pak Bogar. Yang saya hormati, Ketua Dewan Arsitek Indonesia, Arsitek Bambang R.U. Dawan IAI. Yang saya hormati, Ketua Majelis Kehormatan Nasional IAI, Bapak Puguh, Arsitek Puguh Haryono. Yang saya hormati, Komite Indonesia Monitoring, Ketua Indonesia Monitoring Komite, sahabat saya Pak Rana. Yang saya hormati, Ketua Ikatan Arsitek Indonesia Sulawesi Selatan, Pak Fahmi. Dan seluruh hadirin yang saya hormati. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Makassar City Government, I want to convey my warm welcome to all of you in Makassar. We are delighted and honored to have you here for the Asean Architect Congress 2023. We are proud to host and support this Congress. I am proud. Why? Because I'm a part of being a mayor. I'm an architect, and my three daughters are also architects. Only my wife is not, but she loves the field. This shows how my family and I love architecture. I have a lot of legacy and architectural works, including building architectures and urban planning. My significant legacy is the Makassar urban planning that I have supported the more than 30 years before my mayorship period. I used to work for 4 mayors before me, helping them in designing and planning Makassar urban features. And during my 2-term periods, I improved the feature to what the city has become today. Makassar is built with the architectural paradigm. It was developed appropriately starting from the spot. Kalau kita arsitek mulai dari titik, Makassar juga dibangun dari titik. Now the city has changed into the livable city. In Indonesia, only one Indonesia, Makassar has downtown in the waterfront. Saya kira cuma satu di Indonesia, downtownnya di waterfront. Kalau di Jakarta mesti bayar, Pak, kalau ke waterfront, karena mesti lewat Ancol. Ya. Makassar has the best sunset in the world from the Sunset Watcher magazine. Ya. Jadi kita top 8 the best sunset in the world. Provide with better infrastructure, improve with green corridors and green alley, and equipped with digitalization and technology and metaverse. The city development is still ongoing, fostering the vision to be a global city that is the somber and smart city. We have the different concept about the smart city. The keyword is the sombere. Sombere is from the local language. The meaning is the great hospitality, the great humble, and the great brotherhood. Ladies and gentlemen, apart from the high achievement of Makassar in terms of economic growth, infrastructure improvement, and investment rate increase, there is an issue on architect profession in Makassar. The issue is about how the people appreciate the architect's work, the quality design, the significant value of the art of work, and pushing architect to fulfill a good or standard design. Another issue is provision of law of the regulation to support and protect architects' work or design. The policy environment of our work needs to improve. So I hope through the forum we can share knowledge, identify common issues in Asian countries, and find answer or resolutions to issues of architect work. We can discuss a lot of things. For example, tariff and joint venture between architects. We can talk about the legality and the quality of architect work in a way that can satisfy their client. I hope through the forum we can develop and strengthen networking, collaboration, and synergy between Asian architects. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to talk more about Makassar and architect, but time is very short. To end of my speech, I would like to encourage you to explore the city of Makassar, Makassar Kota Makan Enak, or the city to eat delicious food. In Makassar, ask the big questions. In Makassar, find the big answer. Act now, act different, act together. Thank you very much. Welcome to Makassar.
Once again, please give your warmest applause for the Mayor of Makassar, Bapak Insinyur Haji Muhammad Ramdan Pomanto. Thank you for the enlightening speech. And ladies and gentlemen, moving forward to our next agenda, we will be hearing the keynote speech from the Minister of Trade.
Hadirin sekalian, selanjutnya kita bersama-sama akan mendengarkan keynote speech dari Menteri Perdagangan Republik Indonesia kepada yang terhormat Bapak Dr. Honoris Causa Haji Zulkifli Hasan SEMM, disilakan.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat pagi, salam sejahtera untuk kita semua. Pak Menteri, sahabat saya yang saya hormati, Pak Basuki Hadi Mulyono, ini menteri paling baik di dunia, Pak. Ini tepuk tangan yang meriah. Kami rumahnya depan-depanan, tapi saya cemburu. Amal solehnya banyak sekali, Pak. Di mana-mana ada jalan raya, ada embung, bangunan, luar biasa. Tepuk tangan yang meriah sekali lagi. Yang mewakili Gubernur, Pak Sekda, sahabat saya Pak Wali Kota Makassar, Pak Dani Pemanto, Pak Georgius Budi Yulianto, saya hormati, Board of Arsitek Singapura, Mr. Larry, Chairman of Indonesia Monitoring Committee, Chairman of the Indonesian Board of Architect, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, Bapak-bapak dari Pangdam, dari kepolisian, dari Auri, semua saja yang saya muliakan. Mohon maaf kalau tidak disebut semuanya. Alhamdulillah kita bersyukur kepada Allah, hari ini kita bisa bersama-sama menghadiri agenda yang penting pada siang hari ini. I extend my gratitude to the Indonesian Institute of Architect for taking the initiative to host the 4th Asean Architect Congress 2023 in Makassar. ASEAN plays a crucial role in the global economic chain. Now, in 2023, Indonesia once again hold the chairmanship of ASEAN under the theme ASEAN Matters, Epicenter of Growth. This theme meant that Indonesia want to make ASEAN significant and relevant to the ASEAN community and the rest of the world. This is also an opportunity for Indonesia to increase economic resilience, supported by improved performance of both domestic and international trade. By achieving an economic growth rate of 5.3% in 2022, Indonesia has now reclaimed its status as an upper middle income country. In 2023, Indonesia's trade surplus reached $54.5 billion. In this positive trend continued into the first semester of 2023 with a surplus of $16.5 billion. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, since 2007, ASEAN cooperation has facilitated the mobility of professional architects in the Southeast Asian region through the ASEAN Agreement on Arrangement for Mutual Recognition Arrangement, or MRA, or of architectural services. Architects across ASEAN, particularly in Indonesia, recognize the significance of this MRA for their profession. This is evident that Indonesia has the highest number of ASEAN architects, or AEA, from Indonesia, which stands at 179 individuals among all other ASEAN countries, with a total of 603 AAS. However, out of the 179 Indonesian architects, only 4 people have been working in other ASEAN countries, 1 in Myanmar and 3 in Singapore. I encourage Indonesian architects to take advantage of these opportunities from many ASEAN's agreements already in place, such as the ASEAN Framework Agreement on Services, the ASEAN Trade and Services Agreement, and the Protocol to amend the ASEAN Agreement on Movement of Natural Persons. Apart from intra-ASEAN, Indonesian architects can also make use of ASEAN's agreement and market access with its partner countries, such as the ASEAN Australia-New Zealand FTA and the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, or RCEP. These partner countries of ASEAN provide access to individual or contractual service suppliers. The government will continue to facilitate the mobility of Indonesian professional architects within the ASEAN region. We will try our best to eliminate existing trade barriers by utilizing the existing international trade in services agreement. Collaboration is the key. I hope that this Congress can foster collaboration among architects in ASEAN so that they can tackle existing challenges collectively and contribute to the development of the architectural profession, particularly in Indonesia. Finally, my appreciation goes to the Indonesian Architect Association, the Indonesian Board of Architects, the Ministry of Public Works and Housing, and other parties involved in organizing this Congress. Thank you, and I hope this Congress will benefit everyone involved. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much to the Minister of Trade, Bapak Dr. Honoris Causa Haji Zulkifli Hasan SAMM, for the enlightening speech. Ladies and gentlemen, moving forward to our next agenda at the 4th ASEAN Architect Congress, Embracing the Future, Mobility and Collaboration, we will be hearing welcoming remarks followed by opening ceremony by Minister of Public Works and Housing.
Hadirin sekalian, selanjutnya bersama-sama akan mendengarkan welcoming remarks dari yang terhormat Menteri Pekerjaan Umum dan Perumahan Rakyat PUPR kepada yang terhormat Bapak Dr. Insinyur M. Basuki Hadi Mulyono MSc. Disilakan.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Very good morning Honorable Mayor of Makassar, the Chairman of Indonesian Architect Association, the Chairman of Asean Architect Council, and also the Chairman of the Indonesian Architect Council, representative of the Asian Architect who are attend this meeting today, and distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, izinkan saya mengiringi Bapak sekalian sekali lagi memanjatkan puji syukur kehadirat Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, Tuhan yang Maha Esa, yang tak henti-hentinya mencurahkan karunia-Nya kepada kita. It is a great honor for me to deliver a speech in this very, very valuable event, the 4th ASEAN Architect Congress 2023. I also would like to express my enormous appreciation to the Indonesian Architect Association for arranging this very important event. On this occasion, allow me to share with you some of the milestones made within the journey of ASEAN Mutual Recognition Agreement and its implementation, as well as noting the crucial role of the architects in the creation of better future ASEAN cities. To enhance the competitiveness of ASEAN architects, in 2005, all ASEAN member countries agreed upon a mutual recognition agreement, MRA, which regulates the movement of professional workers based on recognition of equality of labor and professional qualification. The agreement aims to increase efficiency, effectiveness, and competitiveness, and reduce barriers to trade in a service within 8 sectors, including architectural services. This agreement marks a momentous step towards harmonizing the profession of architectural services, fostering collaboration, and embracing the opportunities and challenges presented by increasing global competition. It allows architects from member countries to gain mutual recognition, enabling them to work across borders, share their expertise, and contribute to the growth of our region. The MRA offers the chance to showcase architect skills on a broader stage, but it also demands that we elevate our standards to match those of the best in the world. We must continually strive for excellence, keeping pace with the latest technologies, design trends, and sustainable practices. By fostering a culture of innovation and continuous learning. I am confident ASEAN architects can stay ahead in the global race. Ladies and gentlemen, in Indonesia, the Ministry of Public Works and Housing remains responsible for ensuring the competence fulfillment of construction workers, both practicing nationally as well as internationally, while also encouraging and building capacity of the national construction workforce to be able to take part in the foreign construction services market. Under the ASEAN MRA framework, we facilitate cross-border professional movement on the basis of recognition of equality of educational qualification, experience, and expertise. Furthermore, I would like also to highlight that by April this year, Indonesia has broadened its scope to also become a member of APEC architects, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Architecture is not merely about constructing physical structure. It is an art that embodies the spirit and aspiration of a nation. For example, now in the Ministry of Public Works, when we build a road, tall road, when we build bridges, we almost always get involved the architect to give more art in that building. So when we build construction, not only to build masonry or a steel, but we have to put also some kind of an art into that structures. Our buildings narrate stories of our past, reflect our present values, and most importantly, shape the dreams of the future. As architects, you hold the power to transform our world into a epitome of aesthetic, functionally, and sustainability. We, of course, are proud of our Indonesian architects and grateful that they have been involved in several prominent projects. The synergy between the Ministry of Public Works and Public Housing and Indonesian architects is manifested in several monumental projects. One can be found in the preservation of cultural heritage building and areas, including, just to say in the two example, is the rehabilitation of Bung Karno sport venues for the 2018 Asian Games. And also the second is the renovation of the State Istiqlal Mosque. Okay? This is, I really thank you very much for the Indonesian Architect Association who get involved in that two very monumental projects. By maintaining cultural heritage buildings and areas both physically and non-physically, our local cultural traditions are also being cherished. They also have been taking part in the development of the national tourism strategic areas, implemented in the 5 super priority tourism destinations like Lake Toba in North Sumatra, Borobudur and surrounding in Central Java, Manado, Likupang, Bitung in North Sulawesi, Mandalika with the superbike racing area in West Nusa Tenggara, and Labuan Bajo, just recently the place for the ASEAN Summit in East Nusa Tenggara. The architect have brought a new image to the area while maintaining local wisdom and elevating the dignity of the local community's socio-economic conditions. We also want to express our highest gratitude and appreciation for architects' role in designing urban area and buildings in the new capital city of Nusantara. The support and contribution of ideas and elaborated work from Indonesian architects in developing a new government center, which include the Palace Complex, Executive Office Complex, Legislature, Judiciary Office, and Worship Complex. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, in this auspicious occasion, allow me to introduce the members of Indonesian Architect Council atau Dewan Arsitek Indonesia. With that, I hope the name that I call upon can stand up here to be introduced to all the guests. First is Mr. Aswin Indra Prasta. Second, Mr. Bambang Iryudawan. Third, Mr. Didi Haryadi, all of the senior architects. Mr. Gunawan Cahyono. Oh, he's really the guru of architects, Indonesian guru of architects. Mrs. Lana Winayanti. He was the Director General, one of the Director General in the Ministry of Public Works. Mr. Sony Sutanto. Okay. And the new one that just elected, Mr. Imam Ernawi. Ada lagi? Because the new member, so he has to have a very, very complete suit with a tie, right? And the last one is Mr. Steve. I believe that the establishment of the Indonesian Architect Council will further enhance the professionalism, competence, and collaboration among architects in ASEAN. Hope this Congress be platform fostering fruitful partnership and friendship that transcend borders. We believe also that this Congress will become another crucial milestone in resolving problems regarding architectural professional practices among ASEAN countries and accelerating cross-border mobility. This milestone will elevate our effort as a global citizens to take part in the creation of a better future for our built environment. Ladies and gentlemen, finally, by saying Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, I am very honored to declare that ASEAN Architect Congress 2023 in Makassar officially open. I thank you very much. Okay, taking this very good opportunity occasion, I'd like to pengukuhannya apa bahasa Inggrisnya? Inaugurate the Indonesian Architect Council. Ada? Mana anunya? So, but again, taking this opportunity, I would like to inaugurate Mr. Imam Santoso is the new member of Indonesian Architect Council. I am the Minister of Public Works and Housing, the Republic of Indonesia. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Dengan memanjatkan puji syukur kehadirat Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, Tuhan yang Maha Esa, atas segala taufik dan hidayahnya, maka pada hari ini saya Menteri Pekerjaan Umum dan Perumahan Rakyat dengan ini secara resmi mengukuhkan Saudara Imam Santoso Ernawi CM MSc menjadi anggota Dewan Arsitek Indonesia. Saya percaya bahwa saudara akan melaksanakan tugas dengan sebaik-baiknya sesuai dengan tanggung jawab yang diberikan. Dan semoga Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, Tuhan yang Maha Esa, selalu bersama kita. Terima kasih. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Baik, mohon berkenan kepada Bapak Menteri untuk mengambil tempat untuk berfoto dengan Dewan Arsitek Indonesia. Dan setelah foto bersama, kami persilahkan kepada seluruh Dewan Arsitek Indonesia untuk menuju ke tempat dan mohon kesediaan Bapak Menteri tetap berada di atas panggung.
Ladies and gentlemen, what we just witnessed is the inauguration of Dewan Arsitek Indonesia. Please give your warmest applause. Thank you. Bapak Minister, please remain on stage for the opening ceremony. Bapak, kami mohon untuk tetap berada di atas panggung untuk prosesi opening ceremony.
Dan hadirin sekalian, kita masih dalam rangkaian acara Fourth Asean Architect Congress Embracing and Collaboration Part 4, di mana saat lagi kita bersama-sama akan mengikuti rangkaian opening ceremony dalam event yang begitu luar biasa.
Nah, untuk melakukan prosesi opening ceremony, kami turut mengundang kehadiran dari yang mewakili Gubernur Provinsi Sulawesi Selatan kepada Bapak Sekretaris Provinsi. Mohon kesediaannya untuk hadir di atas panggung.
Dan juga kami turut mengundang kepada yang kami hormati, yang kami cintai, Wali Kota Makassar, Bapak Insinyur Haji Muhammad Ramdan Pomanto.
We also would like to invite the Chairman of Asean Architect Council, Architect Larry Ang Laihok AA, to please also join us on the stage.
Dan juga kami turut mengundang kepada yang kami hormati, Ketua Ikatan Arsitek Indonesia, Bapak AR Georgius Budi Yulianto, IAIA.
Kami juga turut mengundang kehadiran dari Indonesian Monitoring Committee, Iketut
Rana Wiarka.
Mohon kesediaannya untuk terlebih dahulu mendengarkan aba-aba dari kami. Bapak Ibu sekalian, the opening ceremony will be symbolized by the drawing line sketches by the honorable guests joining us here on the stage.
Betul, dan itu hadirin sekalian, untuk prosesi opening ceremony ini di mana para tamu kehormatan kita akan membuat sebuah garis sketsa yang di mana kita mengetahui bahwa arsitektur itu berawal dari sebuah titik garis bidang ruang dan waktu.
Ladies and gentlemen, this new innovation of opening ceremony comes from the idea that every architect masterpiece comes from the dot, line, field, space, and time. Bapak-bapak, bagaimana? Apakah sudah selesai melakukan sketsa di iPad-nya masing-masing?
Baik,
apabila sudah selesai, nanti ini akan kita satukan. We will combine all of the sketches on their iPads to be sent to the big LED. Kami persilakan sekali lagi untuk bapak-bapak jajaran VVIP untuk dapat menggambar sketsa di iPad-nya masing-masing. Sekali lagi Bapak Ibu sekalian, ini adalah hal baru yang kita saksikan dalam prosesi opening ceremony, di mana kami meminta para jajaran VVIP untuk menggambar sketsa. Kenapa? Karena tentunya seperti kita ketahui, semua mahakarya arsitektur dimanapun akan dimulai dari sebuah titik garis bidang ruang dan waktu. Bersama kita saksikan masing-masing jajaran VVIP masih melakukan atau menggambarkan sketsa garis di iPad-nya masing-masing.
Dan hadirin sekalian, kita saat ini akan menyaksikan secara bersama-sama di mana hasil sketsa ini akan digabungkan dan akan menjadi sebuah masterpiece yang sangat luar biasa.
Apakah dia? Bersama-sama kita saksikan. Ladies and gentlemen, please help us to do a countdown from
3, 2, 1.
One of the best architecture in the world, Rumah Tokonan.
Hadirin sekalian, Rumah Tokonan merupakan sebuah rumah panggung yang terbuat dari kayu dengan atapnya menyerupai tanduk kerbau, rumah tongkonan tidak bisa dimiliki perorangan, melainkan dimiliki secara kelompok dan turun-temurun oleh keluarga atau marga suku Toraja. Kata tongkonan berasal dari kata tongkon yang memiliki arti menduduki atau tempat duduk. Disebut seperti itu karena pada awalnya rumah adat ini dijadikan sebagai tempat berkumpulnya para bangsawan Tanah Toraja untuk berdiskusi.
Ladies and gentlemen, and this is the fourth ASEAN Architect Congress, embracing the future, mobility and collaboration. Kami persilakan untuk dapat melakukan sesi foto bersama.
Hadirin sekalian, memberikan aplaus yang paling meriah sekali untuk kita semuanya.
Dan dengan ini telah resmi dibuka the fourth ASEAN Architect Congress. Terima kasih kepada bapak-bapak jajaran VVIP yang telah berkenan untuk hadir di atas panggung melakukan prosesi opening ceremony, where we just also we celebrate the opening of the fourth ASEAN Architect Congress.
Exactly. Dan tentunya hadirin sekalian, di mana kita saat ini bisa menyaksikan seluruh rangkaian acara, dan event ini akan berlangsung tentunya selama seharian full di Hotel Gamara.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen, with the end of the opening ceremony procession, it means that we are nearing to the end of our event.
Dan yang pasti, selamat mengikuti rangkaian event kali ini, dan saya Viko Andriansyah.
We wish you a very great and wonderful Congress, and of course we would like to invite you to enjoy our city, our beautiful, beloved, full of culture, heritage, and of course culinary Makassar City.
Dan yang pastinya untuk Anda yang berasal dari luar kota Makassar, selamat menikmati kota Makassar karena makanannya enak-enak.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us at the opening ceremony of the 4th ASEAN Architect Congress, embracing the future, mobility, and collaboration.
I'm Viko.
And I am Cica Syakur.
Thank you very much and see you in the next event.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh dan sampai jumpa.
Kami mengundang kepada yang terhormat Menteri PUPR Bapak Dr. Insinyur M. Basuki Hadi Mulyono MSc untuk dapat berkenan meninjau exhibition yang berada di ruangan lobi dari Gamara Hotel, beserta yang kami hormati perwakilan Gubernur Sulawesi Selatan, Wali Kota Makassar, Bapak Insinyur Haji Muhammad Ramdan Pomanto, dan seluruh jajaran yang ingin dapat menyaksikan exhibition dari 4th Asian Architect Congress.
Ladies and gentlemen, we also invite you to go to the lobby of the Ebony Ballroom to see the exhibition of Ikatan Arsitek Indonesia. And ladies and gentlemen, we also encourage you to not leave the building, because in a few moments we are going to continue with conference 4th ASEAN Architect Congress. Ladies and gentlemen, once again we would like to inform you that in a few moments we will continue with the 4th ASEAN Architect Congress conference. Therefore, we would like you to stay on the ballroom area And also, we also encourage you to see the exhibition presented by Ikatan Arsitek Indonesia, available at the front of Ebony Ballroom. Thank you.
Bagaimana? Thank you kak berteriak ini dengan ini celana seperti itu apa nggak terganggu ini seperti
Pak Menteri tadi langsung ngambil keputusan pengukuhan karena di speech-nya ada pengukuhan.
itu dia cuma membaca sudah dikasih kirandam tadi marah dia baru bangsit terus itu dia tahu pengukuhan di atas bapak imamnya turun kita pikirnya iya dia panggil mungkin cuma untuk apresiasi gitu jadi kayak yang satu dia ditemukan sebenarnya iya makanya saya bilang nggak mungkin ada banyak ini umum ternyata dia improvisation apa tuh tadi kita bilang sini membahas begini anu tak prepare conference ya Pak Reza Mas Is Reza kasihnya kan yang tadi
Siapa yang ngalamin ini?
gara-gara cicilan gelawak iya podium enggak apa-apa podiumnya mau gambar saya sudah bilang saya sudah minta tadi foto gambar materi pembukaan oleh MC gimana
Kita masih lanjut?
iya lanjut 15 menit Cina awas nah lebih 15 menit saya pulang
Ladies and gentlemen, before we continue with the conference, we would like to inform you that it is now coffee break time, which you can enjoy at the Cendana room and Ulin room. Please enjoy your coffee break before we continue with the conference. Thank you.
Selamat siang, kami informasikan kepada Bapak Ibu para peserta. Saat ini kami mengundang Bapak Ibu untuk dapat menikmati coffee break di ruangan Cendana dan ruangan Ulin. Sekali lagi kami mengundang Bapak Ibu para peserta untuk berkenan menikmati coffee break yang telah disiapkan di ruangan Cendana dan juga Ulin. Terima kasih.
Chick he, chick he, chick he, one chick he, si chick he one chick he, chick he one chick he si chick he one chick
Architect Congress. Welcome to all delegates for the conference of the 4th ASEAN Architect Congress. To all of you who are still outside of the ballroom, to please enter the ballroom area and please be seated, because the conference at the 4th ASEAN Architect Congress will be starting shortly. Thank you. Bapak Ibu sekalian, sesaat lagi kita akan segera memulai conference dalam ASEAN Architect Congress keempat. Untuk itu, untuk Anda yang masih berada di luar ballroom untuk dapat segera memasuki area ballroom, karena sesaat lagi acara conference at the 4th ASEAN Architect Congress akan segera kita mulai. Terima kasih. Bapak Ibu sekalian, sesaat lagi conference at the 4th ASEAN Architect Congress akan segera kita mulai. Untuk itu kami mohon kesediaannya untuk bisa meng-clear area ballroom. Untuk Anda mohon berkenan untuk meninggalkan ballroom terlebih dahulu, dan untuk masuk ke dalam area ballroom mohon untuk melakukan registrasi terlebih dahulu. Ladies and gentlemen, the conference at the 4th Asian Architect Congress will be starting shortly. Therefore, we would like to ask for your cooperation to leave the ballroom area and first of all do a registration first, because in order to come into the ballroom you have to scan the barcode first. So, ladies and gentlemen, we ask for your cooperation to please leave the ballroom area and do a registration at the registration area at the front of the ballroom, because the conference will not be starting without all of the attendees doing a registration first. Thank you. Sekali lagi Bapak Ibu sekalian, mohon berkenan untuk dapat mensterilkan area ballroom. Mohon untuk meninggalkan area ballroom terlebih dahulu, karena peserta yang dapat masuk ke dalam area ballroom adalah yang telah melakukan registrasi. Untuk itu, apabila Anda merupakan peserta conference, mohon untuk dapat melakukan registrasi terlebih dahulu di pintu masuk ballroom. Sekali lagi kami mohon kerjasamanya Bapak Ibu sekalian yang masih berada di area ballroom untuk dapat melakukan registrasi terlebih dahulu, untuk scan barcode terlebih dahulu, karena syarat untuk dapat mengikuti conference at the 4th ASEAN Architect Congress adalah melakukan registrasi terlebih dahulu. Terima kasih. Ladies and gentlemen, once again we ask for your cooperation to please do a registration first before entering the ballroom, because the conference will be starting shortly. Therefore, we would like to ask for your cooperation to to please clear the ballroom area first and do a registration and then re-enter the ballroom. Thank you. Bapak Ibu sekalian, sekali lagi kami mohon kerjasamanya untuk dapat mensterilkan area ballroom. Untuk Anda yang ingin memasuki area ballroom dapat menuju ke meja registrasi terlebih dahulu untuk scan barcode untuk mengikuti conference at the 4th Asean Architect Congress. Terima kasih. Baik, Bapak Ibu sekalian, conference akan segera dimulai. Untuk itu, untuk seluruh peserta yang masih berada di luar, mohon berkenan untuk dapat segera memasuki ballroom sekarang juga, karena conference akan segera kita mulai. Ladies and gentlemen, the conference at the 4th ASEAN Architect Congress will be starting shortly. Therefore, we would like to invite you to please enter the ballroom area and be seated because the conference will be starting in no time. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam, Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya, salam kebajikan. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, honorable guests, and all delegation from all over ASEAN. Thank you so much for joining us again in this very ballroom. Ladies and gentlemen, we would like to welcome you at the conference at the 4th ASEAN Architect Congress, Embracing the Future, Mobility and Collaboration. Can I have your warmest and merriest applause? Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, I am Cica Syakur. Thank you so much for trusting us in Makassar to be your host for the 4th ASEAN Architect Congress. And this afternoon, we will be starting the conference for the 4th ASEAN Architect Congress. And to open the conference, we would like to invite you to listen to the opening remarks by the Chairman of ASEAN Architect Council, to Mr. Architect Larry Ang Laihok, AA. Please join us on the stage. Right, ladies and gentlemen, please once again, please welcome Chairman of Asean Architect Council, Mr. Architect Larry Ang Laihok, AA. Sir, the stage is yours.
Yes, still morning. So good morning, everyone. First of all, I'd like to thank the president of IAI and many of my Indonesian friends like Ketut Rana and also the chairman of the Board of Architects, Pak Oda, for inviting me to these important occasions. Now, this is the 4th Asean Architects Congress. The very first one was held in 2009 in Malaysia, and after that, Philippines did another 2 ASEAN Architects Congress, so that's 3, and now in Indonesia, which was supposed to be hosted 2 years ago in 2020, but due to the COVID, it was postponed. So we are hoping Vietnam to host the next one, and Singapore we can host in 2026 or 27 because the Board of Architects will reach 100 years old in 2026. All right? Yeah, thank you. Now, what I'm going to share, because the program initially has stated that the speakers should share about practice in their own country. I will share the practice in Singapore and how Singapore also produced the first RFA architect, and he's none other than Alvin Felipe. He's the very first registered foreign architect in Singapore, and we welcome him, and he's completed 2 projects in Singapore, and he's now on the project, the 3rd project. So we hope to have more ASEAN RFA, right? I understand that there'll be more among the speakers over there. Okay, without much further ado, I will go through quite quickly about in Singapore. Singapore is very small. We only have 728 square kilometers, almost 5.7 million, and we are very dense. It's about 7,800 people per square kilometers. Next. So we are so small, you can see that even Hanoi is 4.6 times, Tokyo is 3 times, Makassar is probably bigger than Singapore in terms of the area as well, and many other cities in Indonesia. Next. But we are a small island, but we have big needs. We are also a country. So beside a city, many cities do not have reservoir in the city, but outside the city in the country. But we have to have everything in Singapore. So these are all the things that we have. So we come a long journey. In 1960s, 65, we became independent until today. So that's a quick transformation of the Fullerton building, and now it is modernized into Fullerton Hotel. Next. Now, a brief history of Singapore architecture. In the 1819, when Singapore was founded, modern Singapore was founded by Sir Stamford Raffles, until the 1965, we call it the colonial or the pre-independence architecture. 1965 to 1980s is post-colonial. You can see some of the example. And 1990s in the modernist and post-modernism. 2000, we have more on the critical regionalism. And finally, in 2010s, we're looking at sustainable urbanism. Nowadays, climate change has made the adverse impact in almost every part in the world. So all of us, including all of you here who are architects, please take note. Climate resilience, sustainability is very important part of your work as an architect. Next. In Singapore, we believe in the long-term plan, or initially called the short-term plan, the concept plan, which we look into planning for the next 50 years. So because it's so small, we need to know that 50 years later, there's still land for us to develop. So that is long-term plan. And the long-term plan is then moved to master plan, which we look at 5 to 15 years on the development. And master plan is transparent. You can download Singapore master plan from the app anytime, and you can actually visit and find which site you want to go to, what kind of criteria is given for the development. And of course, two important things that we do is development control as well as development coordinating land sales. Singapore has a government land sales, so we will dictate which are the areas that can be developed and which are to be left in future. So what is important is the long-term plan view, which was completed, the latest one, last year, and just to make sure that all participants from the country, everyone put in their input. What do they want to see Singapore in the next 50 years? And that's we collate all their feedback and into the long-term plan. Next. We believe sustainability is very important. Next. So there are three aspects of sustainability. Next, economic, social, environment, and of course, we are so small, we have to make full use of the land and the sea. So these are the guiding principles for our development. Next. 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 So in Singapore, the development is very simple. Our CBD Central is on the south. Then on the west is our port facilities. And on the east is our airport facilities. And interspersed in the center is a catchment area where all the reservoirs are. And the rest of the land is used for housing. Eastern Gateway and Northern Gateway. Okay, next. Next. So you can see, because of the long-term plan, this is Marina Bay. In 1970s, we already realized that come today, we will not have enough land to develop for our CBD. So in 1970, we reclaimed 372 hectares of land where Marina Bay is today. And we devote 100 hectares to gardens. Garden by the Bay, East Garden, and Central Garden. Okay, next. But we don't stop at Marina Bay. Although Marina Bay will take us through to the next 20 years of development, we have started looking at the greater southern waterfront that will bring us to another 50 years later. And this will be moving all the port facilities to the west, and whatever that's left in the city will then be extended from Marina Bay to the greater southern waterfront. Next. Now, for us, for all architects, I'm so happy that when I first started in 2006, there were not many ASEAN member states has got Board of Architects. Today, all of, except for Vietnam, that is in the progress of setting up the Board of Architects. The latest one, of course, this morning inaugurated by the Minister and the Chairman, Pak Uda here, the latest Board of Architects in Indonesia. Congratulations, yeah? So we, the Board of Architects is really a statutory board established to administer the Architects Act. So it will be the same for the Indonesia. So our mission is to enhance competency, integrity, professionalism of the architectural practice in Singapore. Next. We also have the Singapore Institute of Architects, which is here, IAI. So I hope now IAI and the Board of Architects Indonesia will work very closely together to move the progress of the Indonesia built environment. This is what we do in Singapore. Next. Next. So we are, BOA is a regulatory body and SIA is an institute focusing on practice matter. It's the same also for Indonesia. Next. Next. Now, some historical background. So in Singapore, architecture professionalism begins in the 19th century when Sir Stamford Raffles first stepped into Singapore in 1819. So he became the first planner. And do you know the reason why? If you have been to Singapore, you have Chinatown, Little India, and Kampong Glam. That's because Sir Stamford Raffles was the first planner in Singapore. Then there were immigrants from South China, India, the Boyanis, the Bugis around the region. So he assigned Chinatown to the Chinese, Little India for the Indians, and Kampong Glam for the Malay. And until today, we have conserved all this to make sure that original identity is being preserved. So we started in 1927 or 26, set up the ordinance, and all the way until now, we have the latest amendment in 2017. So same as your board here, as you move along, you might have to amend some of your act just to make sure it's up to date. Next. So historically, in Singapore, there are 3 professions that are considered professional. Architect, surveyor, interior designer, they are not covered by an act, so they're not supposed to be professional, but we work together and hopefully they register and manage themselves better. Next. Okay, next. So what is important in Singapore, for those who want to practice in Singapore, is that you can register yourself in Singapore, but you have to abide by the code of professional conduct and ethics. But you can also set up firm once you're registered. And Singapore, we will regulate the conduct of registered architects. Next. So for you to register, there are quite a number of Indonesians already registered in Singapore. It's quite simple. If you are a graduate, all right, then you completed 2 years of internship, and then you sit for the professional practice exam. Next. In Singapore, for those graduate from National University of Singapore or SUTD, they can go into the professional practice exam directly. Others will have to, I have a list of approved foreign institutions, all right? But even if you're not in the approved list, no problem. You can take a confirmatory exams on show us your portfolio, your universities, and then you can move ahead to be registered. Next. Next. So you have 24 months of internship. Next. So all you need to do is do a logbook to capture what you have learned. The exam will have paper 1, paper 2, paper 1 on law and architects, paper 2 on professional practice, and the oral exam. And then if you pass all these, you will be registered architect. Next. So the privilege of being an architect, which should be also here in future when BOA Indonesia started all this, is that no person shall use verbally or otherwise the word architect or any of the derivative in connection with his business destination or any other words, name or destination that will lead to the belief that the person is an architect unless the person is a registered architect to the Board of Architects. So that's a privilege. In Singapore, if you're not registered with the Board of Architects, you cannot call yourself or address yourself as an architect. Next. And also, no person shall advertise or hold himself or conduct himself in any other way by means of a person who is authorized to supply architectural services unless the person is a registered architect who has enforced a practicing certificate. Next. So for graduates, we have 4 titles for them before they become registered, sitting for the professional exams. These are the 4 titles. Next. I think now probably BOA will also start your CPD points. In Singapore, if you are registered architects, you must acquire 20 CPD points if you are age 60 and below, or 15 CPD points between the age 60 and 70, and then 10 CPD points if you are over the age of 70 to continue your registration or practicing certificate. Next. So to register architect, first the architects must be of good character and they must be governed by the professional conduct and ethics rules, and they will also be subject to disciplinary action if they contravene the rules. Next. Next. So as professional, there's a lot of responsibility, perhaps also here later on, because architects are liable to civil prosecution for breach of contract, breach of their tortious and statutory duties, criminal prosecution for breach of statutory duties, disciplinary proceeding for professional misconduct and unethical conduct. So if an architect intervenes in some very serious offense, he will be first taken to court under the civil, and then after that come to the Board of Architects and they will be penalized again. So really, it's tough life for architects, you know. So we will wait for your Board of Architects to institute accordingly. Next. Okay, just a quick one. In Singapore, there are many firms. The top 15 firms, for example, are shown here. DP Architects around the biggest with CPG. Next. Okay, Ong and Ong, DCA, Architect 61. Next. And AGA and JGP. So every year we will do a ranking of the top 15 firms. And we count it only by the number of registered architects, not non-registered architects. Okay, next. Okay, Singapore and also I think Indonesia is one of the most open regime. And Indonesia want to be most open. So in that case, we have Indonesia, we've got 16 registered architects in Singapore. Next. And this is the gender balance. Next. The age, number registered over 17 years. Next. Okay, currently we have 722 firms and now it's around 1,800 of registered architects. Next. Okay, next. Okay, I just want to go a quick slideshow. Building in Singapore as at the moment, Tanjung Pagar Center. Next. Tall buildings like this Vertical Green by Toyo Ito. Next. Capital Green. Marina One. Next. Okay, and some of the latest building over here. Next. Orchard Development. Next. Marina Bay, of course, you all know. Next. And the Jewel in Changi Airport. Next. So these are some of the variety of housing in Singapore, private as well as public. Next. This is the first 50-story public housing. Next. And also well designed by top architects, public housing. Next. Another one. Next. NUS housing. Next. Private housing. Next. Another private housing. President Design Award winner. And even a house is with all the green in the living room at the Jalan 19 Jalan Elok. Next. That win President Design Award. And also this win tea house. Next. And also a lot of shop houses that are repurposed and improved. Next. And rich people has got big Clooney house. Next. Next. Different type of housing. Next. And schools are a lot greening nowadays. Next. And even kindergartens, they are well designed. Next. Junior college. Next. And library. Next. And this is what we call enable village for the handicaps. Next. And even conservation hotel, the warehouse hotel. Next. And conservation building like Kong Guan, the biscuit factory. Next. So we do a lot of conservation of building, National Gallery Arts. Next. Okay, some of these buildings are partly conserved. Next. And greening is the limelight nowadays. Next. The School of the Sota, the Kutepa Hospital, and Oasia is all green. Next. You see the famous hotel, Pickling. Next. And in Singapore, architects not only build, all right, you have create spaces for people, all right, you have create spaces for people to enjoy. Next. All right, there are a lot of city room, green heart. Next. Next. Okay, architects also do things like benches, which ASEAN. So IMS can promote AA, RFA registration as we promote cross-border professional practice. Next. So we thank Malaysia, Philippines, and now Indonesia for organizing the ASEAN Architects Congress. We need to identify more pilot projects, and we thank Brunei Darussalam for offering the first pilot project. Pilot project, we want to use it as a test project and only invite ASEAN architects within ASEAN to compete and to do the project. Next. So all AMS here, please encourage your AA to work with AA within ASEAN. Singapore is most open, so if you want to come and work with one of the architects, by all means, and you can register with the Board of Architects. My new registrar is Tracy. She will register you in collaboration. Okay, next. So compared to 2006, we are very happy that all AMS have already set up their respective Board of Architects, except for Vietnam, which is in progress. MRA has helped all AMS to register AAs, and more outreach programs provide more opportunities for interactions. So all AMS would need to continue to promote mobility and also the AAs within ASEAN. Next. So MRA help to facilitate mobility of professionals. MRA help to facilitate collaboration between universities, collaboration among professionals, and also foster better relationship. Just like today, I think we have good relationship among ASEAN. Next. Okay, that's all. I'm rushing like a train. Thank you so much. But the next three presentations will be by distinguished architects. Alvin Felipe, all right? We have, of course, from Philippines. We also have Popo Danes, your very own famous architects from Bali, and of course from Malaysia, we have architects Mustafa. So I'll leave it to them. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Architect Larry Englai Hoek AA, Chairman ASEAN Architect Council. And please welcome Conference of the 4th ASEAN Architect Congress. First speaker, Mr. Popo Danis from Indonesia.
Good morning, everyone. I feel like I'm participating in Makassar Got Talent. So I hope it's okay that I will just make this presentation in a very casual way. I'm an architect from the street somewhere in Bali, so we will do this in the, I think the committee gave me like 5 minutes or more. I would like to present an ASEAN mutual synergy, and Larry already explained to us about how even small country like Singapore got such big power to, actually you can control the whole Asian, Larry, with all of the potential of Singapore. Next. So by history, I think ASEAN was in unity a long time ago. We have the Majapahit kingdom in Indonesia. So we are connected since the Hindu, Buddhist, all of the era. So that's why all of the architectural heritage in ASEAN country also very well connected to each other, like the connection between Prambanan Temple in Yogyakarta with the one in Siem Reap, yeah, Angkor Wat, for instance. So they are sharing same kind of spirit, philosophy, some raw materials, even building techniques. But I can tell you one of my experience regarding that thing from the ancient time. I was invited by one banker in Singapore like 10 years ago who's collecting a lot of Buddhist artifacts. And he displayed all of these artifacts in one 3-story shop house in Singapore. And he was explaining very patiently, one by one, this is from Laos, this is from Thailand, this is from Vietnam. And after all of those, I asked, don't you collect anything from Indonesia? Because Buddhism was big in Indonesia. We have Borobudur. Unfortunately, I cannot collect the one from Indonesia. Why? Some stuff from Indonesia sometimes trick the laboratory. What do you mean? Because in Indonesia, the raw materials and the capability of craft and probably the tools is still available today. So I've been sending one statue to the laboratory from Indonesia, and the laboratory said this is from 11th century. In fact, I know they did it last month in Indonesia. So this kind of thing, I mean, just depending on how we are looking at it, in a positive or a negative way. So I'll explain later. Next. Yeah, we can see the map of ASEAN with all of this, some quick breakdown of their potential, like Singapore is the hub of financial probably, but one thing, Singapore doesn't have domestic flight, which means I'm talking about resources. Why I mention this? Because this is also the way we can collaborate. Like sometimes I'm complaining too, we are working with some Singaporean interior designer. Because they have no local resources, they will so easily will put in their spec, oh, this is coming from Spain, this tile, oh, this is from China, this is from everywhere. So when they do that with us, so then I always help, hey, sorry, for this one, I can help you to source locally. We have actually also other option in Bali, which is more authentic, this and that. So this is, I think, the way that we should do in ASEAN, how we can collaborate, we can fill the gap each other, we can improve, and we can create a new strengthen. So after this, I think I will explain about some ASEAN experience in my way. So from one to another country. Next. So I have some Singapore-related project. Yeah. Like this one in Bali, there's one executive from Singapore who just retired from one big corporation, and he has some money from his saving. And he found like the best way to spend the money is to put in one property investment in Bali. Because with the same amount of money, probably he can have one luxury apartment in Singapore. But in Bali, he can have 1 acre property with a beautiful villa on it. It's becoming a good business. So then with this client, the Singaporean, we already did in Bali. So Bali is becoming their hub. So, but also, of course, very much depend on how us as the Balinese taking this as an opportunity and also giving benefit to our island. Next. This is also part of it. Next. Yeah, like this is another hotel, small hotel, Singaporean experience that they brought to Bali for one small property. Actually, the ex-landowner of this property is sitting in this room, and she's laughing now. So next. Yeah, like this is our project on the cliff in the southern Bali. Some belong to Singaporean, some belong to Indonesian who live in Singapore. So this is like an experience exchange. Yeah, what they miss in Singapore and what Bali miss from Singapore. We can do that. Next. And also in Riau Islands, Singaporean investment do projects, do resorts in Singapore, and from Indonesia, they need somebody from Bali to do that because we have the know-how, we have the experience to develop it. Next. This is also, this is in Bali, another Singaporean investment. Next. And in Malaysia, it's similar. There are some good hotel operator from Malaysia who also trying to widen their expansion and make a project in Bali. This is just done, one in Ubud on Ayung River Ridge. Next. And in Thailand, this is also because of we have always a very casual communication, networking. We also did several projects in Thailand. In fact, I did before this project is one in Hua Hin, like 15 years ago, a small one, but the recent one we did in Khao Yai, right next to the Khao Yai National Park. And this is where we also collaborate the culture, we collaborate the experience in using the materials. Next. Next. And in Vietnam, we just had one very recent experience, exploration. Okay. There's a Buddhist connection between Vietnam and Indonesia. And there are somebody who managed one UNESCO Heritage Site located like 2 hours to the southeast of Hanoi in Ninh Binh, Chiang An, who also put a lot of very special pagodas, big size of new Buddhist pagodas. I think this is a new development of many things come together, spirituality and tourism, hospitality. And next, sorry. Yeah. And for another reference, this guy went to Java, Indonesia, and he admired all of those stone carving at Borobudur Temple. And he met this friend of mine, Nyoman Alim, a Balinese who lives in Muntilan, who's very good in making the stone carving. He has a very big art studio, and he invited. Then finally, he put quite some extraordinary structures in Tamduk, yeah, like 40 minutes from Ninh Binh, with all of this Indonesian craft. Yeah, this stone carving, big panels, 30 meters in height and 50 meters span. And on the right, there's a wood carving from Jepara. And I never seen the one at this size in my own country. And they put it in Vietnam. There's a picture with my wife as the scale. She's 165. And this one, you can see how tall and all very fine, well carved on a Javanese teak wood. And most of them carved carefully from both sides. It's amazing. So after all of this experience working with Indonesian craftsmanship, then finally on his extraordinary site, he's thinking to put a resort and ask a recommendation, who's the architect for this resort. Then he invited me to come next. And we start working carefully with our Bali experience, how to explore and develop this kind of a very sensitive site in terms of ecology and culture. So we configure all of this resort planning and development. I hope this resort will take off by this year, the project, and also another one in Daban. And next, in Cambodia, we did a conceptual design for CFF in Phnom Penh. So because in Indonesia, we have received several architecture awards from IAI, from the Indonesian Institute of Architects as well, for building conservation. Next. So when the next, when the CFF in Cambodia put this Villa Bodega together, so he need me to come and give some advice how to preserve the architecture, but we also transform the function to become a new facilities of hospitality. So this is still going on, and we collaborate with one architect from Thailand. Next. Next. Oh, Philippines. Next, in Philippines, we start working like 10 years ago. This was an old project we did with the Governor Mandanas from Batangas when they were planning to put one power plant, but we need the facilities of the power plant also have some resort feeling, especially an experience of Bali. Next. And in Coron, this is still going on. I'm still flying back and forwards to Philippines. That's why I'm becoming a close friend of all of our Philippines architects fellow. Next. Also this in Tali, Batangas. Next. This was from COVID experience. We were shifting a concept of project from ordinary resorts to become farm field, where people start to build their awareness about good quality of life, organic, and also how they can control the business from remote area. And we are now working on one master plan, also in Coron. Any other thing? Same in Coron. So, and on the 7th of August, I'll be in Siargao for a couple of days, and I hope after that we will see each other in Manila around the 10th. Next. Thank you. Who's next? No? Mustafa? I think you. Because we are still waiting for some white color for Alvin, for his hair.
Thank you for Mr. Popo Danis. And the next speaker, please welcome Mr. Architect Mustafa Muhammad Saleh from Malaysia.
Selamat tengah hari. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Nama saya Mustafa Saleh. I've been with the Asean Architect for quite some time, having been delegates as well as representing my country, Malaysia, especially in the education part. I was a lecturer for 30 years while practicing as an architect as well. But I don't have buildings to show you for today, because I'm talking about something which is very much affected us all the last 2 years, right? So my topic is actually, can I have the slide, the first slide, please? I'm talking about what we all have been affected during the last 2 years, started from 2019 until post-pandemic scenario of construction industry in relation to other architectural practice in Malaysia. You see that during that time, it came to an abrupt stop. Everybody stopped working. You remember?
And we also sometimes heard that we lost our loved ones, our friends, and also not only that, we can't do anything. Everything has, you want to forget all that. But this is a lifetime experience that if it happens again, I'm sure we have to be prepared, because at that time we are not prepared for that. Yeah, you see, the ASEAN Architect Council was not having meeting for 2 years, but a lot of things has changed since then, especially the way how we collaborate each other, networking especially, and it continues until today. Right? Can I have the next slide, please? You see, Malaysia, in particular, our population is about 33 plus million, 33 million. Yeah? And the architect, we have only about, roughly about nearly 5,000 architects, with the registered architect as 2,300, if you can see the chart there, about 2,300, and I'm comparing the 2019 and the 2023 data because I want to see whether COVID-19 has affected in terms of the numbers of practices, number of architects in Malaysia. Because it seems that it is increasing for about 200 registered persons. Yeah? And in terms of the number of firms, we have about 2019, 1,600, and 2023 is about 1,800. Not correct, but it's only an increment of 200 firms. It means that even though the business of architectural firm at that time was coming to a stopping pace, but we can see that they still register with the Board of Architects. They might be idling, yeah, not doing anything. And I can see that the total of, we are having total of about 20 schools of architecture. And every year there will be about 200 graduate architects being registered with the Board of Architects Malaysia. So, but the situation of the market situation happens in Malaysia at that time in the construction industry is very much serious, whereby in terms of the source of architecture project, you can see even though I think it's the same as in other countries, we have two distinct source of architecture project, which is from the public sector as well as the private sector. The public sector normally totally from the government project, which is under public works, as well as government agencies, yeah, statutory body as well. But private sector generally will be what we call swasta, private sector, which inclusive of GLC, government-related project like Petronas, all that. So those are the big clients in the private sector. So as we can see that the employer sector in Malaysia is very much, has its own role in shaping the physical development of the country. And it has impacted in such a way how the distribution of works, the responsibility of consultant, as well as the material suppliers based on these two sectors. So normally the group who are doing government project will always be continuing doing government project. For those who are doing the private project, it shall always be a certain group of architects responsible to do private project. Yeah. Because each sector have its own policy to implement the project, as well as the procurement system are different. Government now is embarking on a lot of design and build project for certain amount of cost, while private project will have different kind of distribution of project to the architects. So this is the scenario. If the ASEAN architect going to venture into Malaysia, this is what we call it demarcation between that you should know, right? Okay, next slide, please. Okay, for the last 10 years, I can say that before COVID, it's about 5 to 6 years before COVID, the construction industry in Malaysia experienced steady growth, especially in infrastructure projects, such as related to transportation, the LRT, MRT, Pen Borneo, those who are from Sarawak or Sabah, there is a highway being built. We call it Pen Borneo. It is not a toll project. It is not a toll road. It is a free ride, you know. And in terms of private housing, there's a lot before COVID. New residential development, oil and gas, as well as energy utilities. And for commercial, I think you have heard that about the Merdeka Tower, PNB 118, just completed, I think, last year. It is the second, so-called the second tallest building in the world now. I don't have the photo, but I hope by not putting the photo, you can go and look for it. Yeah, okay. And another one, commercial development is the TRX, the Tun Razak Exchange. It's just completed. However, the construction industry in Malaysia has actually begun adoption of innovative technologies and best practices such as BIM, IBS, and QLASIC. QLASIC is relating to the quality control evaluation created by the Board of Construction Industry, CIDB. Yeah. And this is a thing that we use, instrumental in setting the benchmark for the industry player to emulate. Yeah. As for architect, in the pre-pandemic time, architect mostly will be having the benefit of spillover project from the infrastructure. So, and the engineer are the one who are having the benefit of infrastructure. Yeah, so we are having only the spillover effect. However, the architects before pandemic experienced a lot of progress in terms of how they manage in their project management, as well as manage to increase the workforces based on the graduate that we are having every year, about 200 graduates. And at that time, the employment was quite good because most of the graduates were able to find jobs with the firm. In other words, everybody has work to do at that time. Right? Next slide, please. Now, come during the pandemic period. I think you all can remember and experience how. So during the last 2 years, during the pandemic, we have a lot of lockdowns. In Malaysia, we call it the MCO, which is a movement control order. It was being imposed by the government, in which we cannot move. We have to stay at home. We have to let our staff to go home and stay at home, do nothing, all right? For 2 months, like my firm, I've been paying without doing anything from our saving. For 2 months, we pay their salary. And after that, we try to find out how to actually after some ease has been given by the government that you can actually move, but with permission, all right? Permission from the police, so they can come to work. So we divided them into a few groups, where one group will come this week, the next group will come next week, so that everybody will have a fair share of working at the office, as well as they can also continue working at home. So this is the term of working from home has been popularized, where until now it has sometimes been continued. And I remember some of my friends who have other kind of business, they say now they are making a lot of savings by sending the employers back to their home to do their work, because we have all the platform that being initiated during the COVID period. Yeah, you remember Zoom, yeah? Zoom, all that. Okay, one more thing that I also practiced during that time was we want to reduce salary of the staff. But how to cut their salary? Because every month they have their commitment with the family. So what we did was that we imposed a 3-day per week working, 3 days per week. So we can cut about 15% of their salary. There's a bit saving, but for the 2 days that they have, 2 days plus 2 days holiday, Saturday, Sunday, they can actually work somewhere else, extra work. So this is how we try to cater for the situation, as well as still maintain our staff. Because I heard some of the company actually just lay off the whole staff. Yeah, lay off the whole staff, and it's unfortunate that the architects working, they have to find another profession in order to live. Right. Of course, during construction, the construction going on during the pandemic period, the government didn't allow them to continue with the construction. Yeah? So because of that, there are a lot of delays happening for the project. So we have to cater for that delay. The government have given some kind of what we call the free EOT for the government project, where they gave a free EOT. That means you can give EOT, and it's also followed by the private sector. Yeah? I think that's a good move, whereby try to understand the situation. It is not, even though it is a forced measure in terms of, it is one of the items in our contract that we can actually give EOT. Another initiative initiated by the government is what we call that disruption in the supply of building materials, example steel at that time, led to shortages and increase in costs. So the government allows what we call VOP, which is variation of prices on certain selected material to be given to the affected parties. And that is some kind of bonus to the contractor, whereby before the construction, a contract was signed based on certain price, but the fluctuation of prices because of the COVID, they were given this VOP, right? Okay, next slide, please. All right, for housing, of course, also affected in terms of housing, but I can see that one important matter related to housing, that the housing prices has gone down since then for about 30%. And what is important, I think, in housing is the digital marketing. Now you don't have to go to the showroom. You can see the virtual marketing through your computers in order you have to buy a property. So that's on housing. But now I think it's picking up with awareness of sustainability and environmental issues. Okay, next, please. Post-COVID, development will need to have increase in demand for resilient and sustainable design in building infrastructure. Both the clients in public and private sectors seek architectural services that prioritize health, adaptability, and environment consideration. While health and safety measures become top priority in architecture project, where architects need to integrate innovative design. So I have one hospital project where it was tendered before COVID with a confirmed plan design, but during the COVID that we can continue working, we have to redesign some part of the planning. So they allow some time for us to do that. For example, you have to segregate certain rooms in order not to be over, if during the pandemic, it will be serious. Okay, next please. Adoption of digital technologies in architecture. I think you all know that using of BIM as well. And we do remote working and collaboration. So we are talking about collaboration of ASEAN Architect. I think it is not necessary that we can cross border. We can do it digitally now because everybody is quite comfortable with the platform or having meeting through online. Next, please. I think the strategy for recovery of our economy, the government may have to invest in high impact project in partnership with private sector for PFI and PPP to stimulate growth. And this is where architects can get advantage of what the government is doing in order to get this economic recovery in place like before. Right. Okay, next. Okay, thank you very much. I think that's all what I can say. Alvin.
Thank you, Mr. Architect Mustafa Muhammad Saleh. And the last speaker, please welcome Mr. Architect Alvin Felipe from Philippines.
Hi. First off, I want to thank the two speakers that spoke before me. It's really an honor to go last. Unfortunately, at 39 years old, I'm also growing a lot of white hairs. And I would like to thank Architect Larry Ong for registering me and allowing my collaboration in Singapore. And also, I would like to thank Ms. Tracy, the new Registrar of Board of Architects Singapore, for approving my latest project. And I would like to thank as well our Professional Regulation Board of Architects in the Philippines, our chairman, Architect Robert Sack, and its board member, Robert Mirapuente, for actually fighting for me to be the first registered foreign architect in ASEAN. So, thank you. I hope you don't mind. My presentation is on the lighter side. So, I'll go ahead. All right. So again, hi everyone. I am Alvin Mark Felipe. I'm a Filipino ASEAN architect and the first ASEAN registered foreign architect. I've been working in Singapore for more than 15 years, working mainly on architectural design and architectural interiors. Today I'll be presenting some of my significant works. That's why I said it's on the lighter side. Please go ahead, play the video. Anyway, so my talk is actually quite fast. We were asked to do a 5-minute session, so no worries. I think we're having some technical difficulties right now, so. All right, sure. All right, so again, hi everyone. I'm Alvin Mark Felipe. So, like I mentioned, I've been working in Singapore for more than 15 years and working mainly on architectural design and interiors. And today I'll be presenting some of my significant works. Since I started working, I have designed over 150 design concepts and completed more than 100 actual realized projects. My works have been featured with affluent publications, have garnered a number of awards. I would like to share my philosophy. My form of design is one that adapts the characteristic of the site and with the personality of the client. So I pride myself not to have a singular style, so that it enables me to create designs that are individually tailored to each client's project. From luxury homes, hotel yachts, restaurants, and commercial spaces, I was very fortunate to handle high-profile clienteles, established developers, and many other homeowners in Singapore and in other several countries. Here is a project in Peel Road, Singapore. The owner of the house is an entrepreneur, and he's also a developer who initially had plans of selling his home. But we are glad that we are able to convince him not to through our designs. This house comes with a garage of 12 cars and a near Olympic-sized pool. And the next one is a project of ours in Bangkok. It is a 2-level penthouse located at Sukhumvit, used as a vacation house by the clients. Because of their lavish lifestyle, we made sure all facilities are there. And on the first floor, there is a grand living hall, a dining area, wet and dry kitchens, 5 bedrooms with bathrooms, and a maid's quarter. There's also a big foyer on the outdoor living room on the first level. And on the second level, there is a ballroom overlooking the grand living hall. I had fun designing this project as the owners gave me a free hand to design the best for them with no limitations. Here's the conceptual sketch I did, and the grand living hall after its completion. Next is a property in Broadview Villa, Hong Kong. The clients are well-traveled and stays mostly in Europe. The lady of the house is a woman of elegance and sophistication who loves classical design. And the inspiration is the cityscape, the beautiful cityscape of Hong Kong. I filled the apartment with sumptuous finishes and ornate touches for a decadent look. Here's a photo of me with a master artist from Taiwan who actually drew all the murals by hand. The next one is involved designing an alteration and addition project in Singapore at Tanglin Hill. The idea was to restore the former grandeur of the old residence without losing its character. Here how it looks like while we are constructing the house. And these are my conceptual sketches for the interiors and the initial sketch I did for the architecture. So every project I do starts with me sketching, and it is important for me to make people feel good in a space and have them feel comfortable with the way it looks at the same time. Like this project of mine in Cambodia, the River House is conceived with minimalism in mind. This house is overlooking the beautiful view of Mekong River. At the early form of development I did for this house, I separated the hardscape and the softscape and defined at each level and stacked them up to complete its final form. The next one is a special project of mine. This beautifully realized development in Name Crescent is the reason why it became the first RFA. It comprises of 2 homes, number 11 and number 15. I was conscious about the stack effect, cross-ventilation, and the sand pad. And we had recently acquired the temporary occupancy permit, and the owners just recently moved in. So from minimalistic modern house in Singapore to a traditional classical apartment in Hong Kong and to a contemporary clubhouse in Indonesia, my range of design styles is virtually unlimited with innovative material selection, sensible construction techniques, and modern aesthetics. One can craft a unique design language that sets a new standard. So thank you.
Thank you for Mr. Architect Alvin Felipe. And thank you for our 3 speakers at the first session of the conference. And we would like to inform all delegation participants to be able to enjoy lunch has been provided at the restaurant.
Kami infokan kepada seluruh peserta delegasi, saat ini waktunya istirahat 30 menit dan kami juga menghimbau untuk dapat menikmati hidangan santap siang yang telah disediakan di restoran, ruang sukun, dan ruang banyan Gamara Hotel Makassar. Dan kami infokan pula untuk para peserta delegasi untuk dapat men-scan barcode yang ada di ID card masing-masing agar bisa mendapatkan sertifikat atau KUM CPD.
Baik, kami sekali lagi menginformasikan kepada seluruh partisipan dan delegasi untuk boleh menuju ke meja registrasi untuk melakukan scan QR Code untuk mendapatkan e-sertifikat dan KUM. Sekali lagi kami informasikan kepada seluruh delegasi dan all partisipan untuk yang telah mendapatkan QR Code boleh menuju ke meja registrasi untuk melakukan scan QR Code untuk mendapatkan e-sertifikat, KUM, dan CPD. Terima kasih. Baik, kami menginformasikan kepada seluruh partisipan dan delegasi dan tamu undangan untuk boleh kembali ke ruangan ballroom ini kurang lebih dalam 30 menit ke depan karena kita akan melanjutkan kegiatan selanjutnya. Terima kasih.